Why you wouldn't survive a nuclear disaster. 1. The hypnotic art of surviving nuclear fallout. How to shield your body, protect your DNA, and outlast the invisible storm. The unseen moment of impact. Imagine this, not as a scene from a distant war zone or a dystopian film, but as the quiet hum of your ordinary morning, the kind where the sunlight filters through your windows and the hum of life feels familiar, almost comforting. But in an instant, the air shifts, not visibly, not audibly, but beneath the surface, the molecules themselves begin to betray you. You don't hear the blast. You don't see the wave of light that came first, faster than sound, faster than thought, but you feel it, deep in your bones, a pulse of dread and heat that rattles the very core of your being. The windows rattle, the lights flicker. Somewhere in your mind, a voice that you haven't heard since childhood whispers, "This is real." You glance toward the horizon, and there it is. The rising, blooming column of smoke and light that marks the release of humankind's most dangerous invention. Nuclear detonation. You are within the radius. You are alive. But for how long depends on what you do next. Bess, take one deep breath, even if the air itself feels tinged with an unfamiliar metallic taste, and then act. The first thing to understand is this. Distance is no longer your ally. You are too close. The nuclear plant, or the weapon, was detonated nearby, and whether or not the shockwave has reached your body, the invisible danger already has. Ionizing radiation moves without regard for walls or skin. It penetrates deeply, altering the very blueprint of life inside you. Your DNA. Under siege. Consider your DNA for a moment, a spiraling ladder built over eons from ancestors known and unknown. Every twist of that helix holds the script for your existence, your eyes, your breath, the beating of your heart. And now, billions of tiny fists of ionizing energy threaten to punch holes in that script, severing bonds, corrupting instructions. This is not like sunlight on your skin or Wi-Fi signals around you. Those forms of non-ionizing radiation pass harmlessly through or around you. Nuclear radiation is different. It carries enough force to eject electrons from atoms to tear through the fabric of your cells. Exposure doesn't guarantee immediate death, but it does guarantee a ticking biological clock within. Mutations, cancers, organ failure, all written in your future if you do not act now. Securing shelter. Your first move must be to return to the safest space available, your home. Not to flee, not to brave the highways, which even now are clogged with desperate souls inching their way toward imagined safety. Many of them will not survive the fallout awaiting them on the open road. You, however, have a better chance here. Once inside, seal all entry points. Close windows, shut doors, cover vents if possible. The goal is containment. Fallout particles are heavy. They fall like toxic snow, coating every surface they touch. Your task is to keep them out. Position yourself at the heart of your dwelling, away from external walls, ideally in a basement or interior room where the mass of your home can provide shielding from both radiation and contaminated air. The nature of fallout. Now, understand what fallout is. When a nuclear device detonates, it vaporizes surrounding material, soil, water, metal, organic matter, which is then drawn upward into the mushroom cloud. There, these particles become fused with radioactive isotopes before drifting back to Earth. The result is a rain of lethal dust and debris, capable of burning skin on contact and, if inhaled or ingested, causing fatal internal exposure. The size of these particles varies, from microscopic grains to visibly large fragments, but all share the same grim potential. They emit gamma rays, which penetrate flesh and bone, beta particles, which burn and damage tissue, and alpha particles, which wreak havoc internally if they find their way into your body. Time is your ally. But there is hope, because fallout is not forever. Its danger is sharpest in the hours immediately following the blast, but diminishes rapidly. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, within just 7 hours, the radiation emitted by fallout will drop to 10% of its initial intensity. After 48 hours, it will have lost 99% of its threat. This is the window you must survive. The patience you show now, the discipline you maintain, will spell the difference between life and death. Do not be tempted by the apparent calm outside. The silence is deceptive. The sun may shine, the streets may beckon, but invisible death still hangs in the air. Isolation and survival. As you fortify your space, consider your connections. You may feel the instinct to reach out, to check on loved ones. But in this scenario, you are alone. No comforting voice on the other end of the phone. The network is overwhelmed or offline entirely. Embrace this solitude. It simplifies your choices. There is no one to rescue, no one to coordinate with, only your own survival to focus upon. And in some ways, this is a gift. Distractions breed mistakes. Solitude breeds clarity. The pulse of resolve. Finally, remind yourself, the body can endure what the mind prepares for. Radiation is merciless but predictable. Shelter works, time heals. Food, water, and air must be conserved and protected. The next 48 hours will be an endurance trial, a battle not of might, but of will. Anchor your thoughts. Visualize the hours passing safely. The blast was not the end. It was the beginning of your survival. And as you sit, breathe, and wait, know this. With patience, you can emerge from this. Changed, perhaps, but alive. When the knock comes, trust, caution, and human nature in the fallout zone. Just when the silence begins to settle around you like a second skin, a sharp knock echoes through the dense stillness of your shelter, a sound that slices through your thoughts and awakens a primal alertness. For a moment, your breath catches and the mind races. Who could be seeking entry now, in a world that has so suddenly tipped into chaos? Then comes the familiar voice from behind the door. Ron. Your only friend, if you dare call anyone that anymore. For years, Ron has been a constant. Odd, perhaps, a little too obsessed with prepping for doomsday scenarios, but loyal. You remember the chance meeting at that bar years ago, two strangers in the same ridiculous shirt, a laugh shared, and somehow a bond was formed. And now, here he is, on your doorstep, drawn by instinct, or perhaps some grim satisfaction in the prophecy he always feared would come true. Bro, open up, he calls, his tone laced with urgency. You hesitate. Trust is fragile in times like this. Desperate people do desperate things, and while Ron is no stranger, the world beyond your door has changed. Yet isolation has its dangers too. Two heads may yet be better than one. Slowly, deliberately, you undo the locks, ready for anything. The door creaks open. Ron bursts in, eyes wide with adrenaline. We've got to move now, he urges. But you pause. Move where? The streets are littered with invisible death, and time, not distance, is your ally. Patience, not panic, is the strategy that will serve you here. You remind Ron, gently, firmly, that survival now depends on containment, not flight. The world outside is a labyrinth of unknown dangers. Staying sheltered offers the highest chance of enduring this invisible storm. Together, you begin sealing the room, layering barriers against the creeping threat of fallout. And as you work in tense silence, one truth settles in your mind like an immovable stone. Every choice from this moment forward matters more than any you've made before. Trust must be tempered with caution. Action must be weighed with thought. In this new world, survival is no longer instinctive. It is an art of patience, clarity, and unwavering resolve. Sheltering in the eye of the storm, adaptation, resourcefulness, and the subtle dance of survival. Weeks slip by like the slow drip of water through a cracked faucet, each day blending into the next beneath the uneasy hum of fluorescent lights in your unlikely sanctuary. You and Ron, bound now by necessity as much as friendship, have transformed a forgotten grocery store into a fragile refuge. Fortune, if one can still call it that, smiled in your favor. With so many lives claimed swiftly in the paralysis of gridlock and panic, the shelves remain unusually full, the aisles strangely quiet. Even better, this grocery store nestles beside a home improvement center, a pairing that offers more possibilities than fate should have allowed. But survival is never guaranteed, and in the vacuum left by collapsing order, the opportunists inevitably emerge. You've seen it already. The frenzied looters obsessed with televisions and designer shoes, as if clinging to the trivial could shield them from the invisible threat. Yet their folly becomes your gain. While they waste time on the useless, you stockpile the essential. Still, no help has come. The government, its resources swallowed by distractions and distant priorities, has grown silent. You know this will only worsen before it heals, if it ever heals at all. In this decaying new world, food becomes more than sustenance. It is strategy. You learn to prioritize sealed goods with high water content, knowing that moisture shields nutrients from radiation's hungry reach. Canned meats, vegetables, even preserved fruits become precious commodities. A small miracle, the store's backup generators still hum to life, keeping frozen goods viable for now. If you can find a safe way to cook them, your diet may hold variety for a little while longer. But danger wears many faces. The store manager, a relic of the old world, clinging to order, catches sight of your gathering efforts. His gaze sharpens, voice rising in protest. In such moments, diplomacy is as vital as rationing. Humor softens the edges of tension. Sometimes a jest buys you time or space. But beneath the levity lies a deeper truth. Questions begin to surface. Should you remain? Should you flee the encroaching radiation? Ron reassures, maps wind patterns in your mind. The fallout drifts northwest. Your escape lies southeast. Yet here you remain, tethered by uncertainty. When opportunity arises, a pair of radiation suits offered in a desperate barter, you seize it without hesitation. Every step, every choice, draws a line between survival and surrender. You adapt, always. The dance continues. 4. The price of preparedness, shielding the body, honoring the past, and facing the invisible enemy. The call to move is not one to be answered lightly, for beyond the fragile walls of your sanctuary lies a world transformed, one where the very air hums with unseen peril. You know that every step forward must be measured, every item on your person a tool of survival. So you steel your resolve and slip into the abandoned hardware store next door, fingers searching through the dust-coated shelves for anything that might offer protection. Cloth, coarse but serviceable. Rope, frayed at the ends yet strong enough to bear weight. A few sturdy logs, simple but with promise. With hands steady and mind focused, you weave these materials into a makeshift shield, a small gesture of defiance against the storm outside. An axe, its edge dulled by neglect yet eager to serve, joins your growing arsenal. You pack these essentials with practiced efficiency, knowing that hesitation can be fatal. With a breath that feels far too shallow, you nod to Ron. Time to move. The door protests with a shriek of rusted metal, a sound that echoes your own unease. Yet forward you go, weaving through the skeletal remains of the town, a place where life once thrived and now lies silent. The streets bear grim testimony to the truth of radiation's embrace. Bodies, stilled in agonized repose, speak volumes where words cannot. Skin blistered, faces twisted in pain. These poor souls are the unwitting martyrs of an invisible war. You tread carefully, each step a somber homage to those who fell before. The lessons of history weigh heavily here, none more haunting than the tragedy of Chernobyl. In 1986, brave firefighters and plant workers faced a horror unseen, their bodies bathed in waves of ionizing radiation from the exposed reactor core. What followed was suffering beyond comprehension, burns that seared flesh, relentless nausea, vomiting, and unyielding pain. Stripped of their contaminated clothing, even in the sterile halls of the hospital, their bodies remained battlegrounds, their garments discarded in a basement that hums with residual radiation to this day. Over the coming weeks, their bodies withered, blisters blossomed, hair fell in mournful clumps, and clarity gave way to confusion. In the end, 28 of these valiant souls succumbed to acute radiation syndrome, a grim reminder that this enemy does not announce itself with sound or fury, only with suffering. And so, with this knowledge etched into your every thought, you press onward, not merely to survive, but to honor the cost of life itself. Into the wild unknown, the perilous dance of hunger, loss, and relentless curiosity. The path grows quieter now, the faint echo of civilization left far behind as you weave through tangled woods, guided only by instinct and necessity. The dangers of the open road press heavily on your mind. Trust is a rare and brittle thing in times like these. Better to stray from the beaten path, to move unseen through nature's fractured veins, where the desperate eyes of other survivors cannot so easily find you. Days pass beneath a canopy of leaves that offer no shelter from the creeping fear within. You subsist on the dwindling bounty of your well-packed stores, canned goods and bottled water drawn from a supply that now seems too small to sustain hope. Yet hunger whispers more insistently with each passing dawn, and soon the gnawing emptiness drives your gaze toward the forest floor and the flickering promise of wild sustenance. But caution must temper hunger, for the taint of radiation flows farther than the eye can see. Contaminated winds may spare no corner. Plants, animals, even the flowing streams may harbor invisible death. Without the means to filter the unseen poisons, every sip and every bite is a gamble against fate. So you push deeper, searching for a safer prize, when an unexpected sound calls you back to the present, a familiar voice tinged with innocent wonder. Ron. You turn to find him crouched near a small, soft creature, the kind of fragile life that somehow persists amid ruin. But wonder curdles into dread as a deeper growl shatters the stillness. A bear, massive and wild-eyed, surges from the shadows. Instinct drives you both to flee, feet pounding through uneven ground toward the jagged mouth of a nearby cave. Darkness swallows you, and in the frantic scramble you hear a cry, Ron's cry, cut short by savage fury. You do not stop. Breathless and heartbroken, you collapse deeper within the cave, its cold stone walls your only witness. Grief claws at your chest, but the sharp echo of movement draws your gaze forward. Light flickers in the distance, unnatural and beckoning. Against reason, against every instinct screaming caution, you move toward it. For the beast still lingers outside, and retreat offers no safety. The deeper you go, the stranger the scene, a hidden enclave of forgotten faith, relics of desperate worship scattered like bones. You gather what you can: food, materials, faint hope, but one strange object arrests your gaze, its purpose yet unknown. In a world where each choice may be your last, curiosity becomes both gift and curse. And so you reach out, ready to claim the next chapter in this uncertain story. 6. The Artifact's Whisper, a loop of fate and choice. The object pulses with a dark allure, its cryptic inscription seeping into your thoughts like a forgotten melody. Survival you have learned, now you must return. Against all reason, your fingers trace its surface. One turn, then another, then a third. The world fractures, light bends. Suddenly, you are back, caught in the eerie dance of fate once more. The shadows still linger, choices remain unfinished, and as this tale winds down, I invite you to shape your own path. Like, share, and follow this channel for more journeys through the unknown. Until we meet again.